What is good, Carti people, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Bobbalam, whispering into the mic with a baby voice and selling it for thousands of dollars online as Carti leaks to some rich LA kids so they can attempt to flex to their 14 active Instagram followers on their stories every night before mommy comes to tuck them in. Not actually. You gotta have 15 followers to buy leaks from me. But speaking of leaks, how do leaks actually affect artists in the long and short term? Personally, I've never had a song off Whole Lotta Bob leak. Yet, at least, but if one does, I'll be finding that rat faster than that one random high school girl that found Tekashi 6ix9ine's location when he was first released from jail. But before we get into the details regarding how exactly leaks can affect artists both in the negative and positive outcomes, surprisingly, the Bob Gang featured comment of the video is from Decavis III, a multiple featured comment winner in the past, who said, "Man's got a whole Big Mac," referring to Uzi beefing with 3 people at the same time in my most recent video last night. But honestly, who even knows if Big Macs have any beef in them? Pretty sure McDonald's got in trouble for not having enough meat in the ground beef, as counterintuitive as that sounds. But either way, you know Gunna is chomping that up ASAP. But back to topic, how leaks affect artists like Uzi, Carti, and many more. Let's talk about it. Okay, so as many of you have probably noticed in the past and more frequently by the day at this point, new, never seen or heard before celebrity information and intellectual property seems to leak out of nowhere and spread throughout all of social media within hours seemingly every single day. For some reason, there's just something intrinsically fascinating about leaked information from famous people that we're frankly not supposed to have as fans and or the general public that forces us to peek at this new content, even though inside we know morally that it's wrong. And music leaks from famous artists are no different, although leaks typically tend to only occur in hip-hop and its related genres for some reason. Perhaps this is due to the sheer volume of records rappers record on a weekly basis that inherently increases the chances of music getting into the wrong hands. For much of the music hip-hop artists record was never intended to release anyway, so what's the need to download it onto the hard drive and waste valuable data on some quote trash? But either way, to define the topic of interest in the video, music leaks are basically a song or even entire projects that find their way into the general public's hands without the artist knowing about it. However, there are specific cases that prove that particular artists in fact purposely leak their own music or hire friends and or team members to leak one or several of their tracks due to the positive impacts leaks can uphold in current times, such as Sunny 2.0 leaking Autopsy featuring Playboi Carti, Trippie Redd, and No Cap, simply for the fans to enjoy it since his label couldn't clear the features officially anyway. But we'll get into that a little later. In the more general sense, leaks occur in many ways. Sometimes friends of the artist switch up on them, other times the artist's Dropbox accounts get hacked with whole projects saved on the drive, as we briefly mentioned earlier, and in some cases producers have even been rumored to sell the songs they knew weren't ever officially releasing in exchange for quick upfront cash, since beat placements with major artists are hard to come by, and many a time producers aren't paid for months after the label accumulates streaming revenue from the specific song the producer produced. In Carti's situation specifically though, I've actually heard rumors that all the latest Carti leaks and snippets are actually coming from Carti's secret boyfriend, and no, not Uzi, his other one. Apparently after every time they make love, Carti gives one baby voice song to ensure he doesn't tell Iggy he's cheating on her. Nah, I'm just playing about the baby voice, because apparently that particular sound won't even be featured on Whole Lotta Red. But as I was saying, music leaks can have a major effect on artists, in some of the worst cases even leading to multi-year long anticipated projects being pushed back further or even canceled. For example, as many of y'all already know, leaks are the reason why Whole Lotta Red was postponed from its originally intended release date within the summer of 2019, and unfortunately now looking like it will be pushed all the way back to the year Uzi becomes president, as well as the reason the wait for Eternal to take almost lasted 3 years as opposed to 1 or 2. For TM88, producer of EXO Tour Life, arguably Lil Uzi's biggest song ever, even claimed as far in an interview with Rolling Stone that a single album song leaking would push EA back weeks and even months at a time, explicitly stating, "Leaks slow everybody up. Future and Young Thug are doing 10 songs a night. Uzi really takes a lot of time on his songs. If a fan leaks 1 or 2 songs, that's pushing his album back another 8 months. On the other hand though, leaks aren't always bad, but we'll get back to that in a second. Let's get straight to the point. Leaks clearly negatively impact artists for many reasons. The most obvious reason is that the premature release of leaks in theory could decrease sales significantly due to the easily shareable and downloadable MP3 files that fans can listen to without any of the streams counting on major streaming platforms for the artist. And in such a case, artists don't want to drop already released / leaked music because of the free access to the song, so in turn the artist and or label delay an album in order to record and prepare fresh, never heard before music. As we briefly discussed earlier, a very extreme example of such a delay caused by leaks is, or I guess was, because we ain't never getting the album anymore, Whole Lotta Red, whereas the first supposed version of the album's tracklist leaked a month or two ago by a very credible source listing 8 famous Whole Lotta Red era tracks, or in other words, half the album that leaked last year. Personally, I think we would have all taken Whole Lotta Red version 1 over whatever baby Carti's been smearing on his birthmark lately, but only Gilbert can save us now. Delaying albums aren't the only negative impact though, for nothing is free, including studio time and other related activities behind the scenes. For example, Designer, a rather large artist, at least at the time of this scenario, his entire good album leaked, which I personally believe to be the responsibility of the Good Music label's inner workings, since, well, Designer was quite literally dissing them in the album title, and this wasn't merely a simple leak ripped off of Spotify a day early. The whole album essentially leaked so early, it never actually officially released. On the other hand, regarding a much smaller artist such as one you may have never heard of named Thundercat, he experienced a very similar circumstance an entire month before his official drop, causing a cancellation of his project too. Except for someone this size, it's almost devastating for sales and streaming revenue that can severely affect their livelihood as a non-mainstream musician. Now, this sort of proportion of money to sustain one's life doesn't necessarily apply as heavily to the first artists that come to mind with leaked music, such as Lil Uzi Vert, Playboi Carti, Juice WRLD, and the like, as they're constantly under already paid for studio time with label budgets, and many times the studios are even owned by the label. However, this does not mean nothing is lost for them too. For imagine if Lil Uzi's EXO Tour Life leaked in full CD quality long before its official release, or Lucid Dreams for Juice WRLD, or even Magnolia for Playboi Carti, because you pretty much never know which songs will take off to the mainstream. So if one of these tracks was leaked and thus potentially cancelled, it could have changed the whole trajectory of these said artists' careers. As for the smaller artists, such as rappers even smaller than the Thundercat rapper we just mentioned, almost no song is a throwaway and studio time is expensive with little to no label support. Also, many times with independent artists, the beat is paid for up front, so a leaked song is essentially hundreds to thousands of dollars stolen from their bank account when factoring in every single expense. Moreover, major label producers are screwed in a similar fashion, and that they are paid a royalty percentage dependent upon how many streams a specific song they made the beat for accumulates, and if a song they put hella hours and effort into with an artist leaks, they might as well cut their losses, since the track is most likely never dropping anymore, equating to hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars lost based on how big the record was going to be potentially. So basically what I'm saying is that leaks are very detrimental in a multitude of scenarios. That is, if the song was ever intended to release, but what if a song was never going to drop and that leaks? Is that bad too? What I was implying is that when a throwaway or song that was never going to release officially leaks, not a lot of people end up losing in regards to the aforementioned processes. Since the artist never intended to drop it and the producer can still sell the beat to someone else since it's non-exclusive, no one really loses. That being said though, not every song that leaks is a throwaway, and honestly sometimes the fans and leakers likely have no idea anyway, but a lot of songs fans complain about leaking due to their supposed impact on its future release, such as Mission to the Loot or Harden and the like, never actually mattered, for Uzi never even planned to drop those songs, which makes sense after researching when the songs were actually recorded, and for most being multiple years ago, therefore allowing ample time for Uzi to record countless better songs in his opinion that he feels more comfortable with releasing. In fact, sometimes Uzi and the other artists like Juice WRLD that we've discussed in this video forgot that they even recorded the songs entirely, along with the session files necessary to release the full quality music. And the same thing applies with a lot of Carti throwaway tracks tracks, and even the most legendary unreleased album, Yandhi. For if you didn't know, Yandhi was Kanye West's album that he announced a few years ago and constantly pushed back, as he does with literally every album he's ever released in his career, except for one, I believe. I mean, last Friday or the Friday before that, Kanye was supposed to drop Donda, and yet Yeezy fans are still sitting on their couch drier than Kim's cooch after Kanye supposedly asked for a divorce in 2018 after her, quote, prison reform meeting with Meek Mill, but that's besides the point. For the album was thought to be scrapped completely and lost forever when suddenly a few users on anonymous forums listed that they were selling these said tracks on the album, and over a course of a year or so, the entire scrapped Yandhi album leaked in its entirety. For Kanye fans, it was a blessing and a curse. On one hand, they get to listen to the songs and snippets they were fiending for, but on the other hand, they are low-key sad boys because Kanye doesn't get a cent from all of their listening. Because if there's anything that Kanye and Travis fans for that matter love more than anything in this world, it's spending their mama's cold hard cash that they work tirelessly for in their multiple 9-to-5 jobs for weeks on end, while their sons and daughters spend countless hours researching into bots to buy the latest hypebeast clothing just to spend it on that $1,000 Yeezy Foamposite slipper jam. And the same situation applies to every other rapper and artist alike as well regarding listening to throwaway leaks, and that's the overarching dilemma of listening to leaks. I doubt many kids bumping to Carti leaks while twerking in the corner of their room trying to film viral TikToks comprehend such a concept or even care, to be honest, but that leads me into my next point. In relation to throwaway tracks, leaks can also act as free promo, and one of the most effective methods at that. Think about it. After Die Lit released in mid-2018, we hadn't heard much about Playboi Carti for a few months after all the hype of the forced drop subsided. And by the way, this didn't just happen to Carti, as this usually occurs with every artist after the completion of their promotional efforts on a month-long album rollout. But in 2019, up until now, it seems Carti's more famous for his leaks and capping about the release date of his album than he is for his actual official releases. Seriously, I think I've seen more people ranking Carti leaks on TikTok than I've seen actually listening to the man in real life. Not that I blame them, kind of hard to keep a regular face while a grown man moans into your ear and mumbles like a baby. Not that I even have TikTok downloaded on my phone anymore either, because your boy ain't trying to have the Chinese government kidnapping me in the middle of the night, force feeding me egg rolls and sticky rice until I give up US secrets. And by the way, for all the K-pop fans trying to cancel me now, it's not even racist or even nationalist to say that, because I didn't even mention a race. It's simply a fact that egg rolls and sticky rice are Chinese foods. But the important thing to note is that in many cases, leaks are really just free promo, and they don't harm the artist if they are throwaways, meaning that the artist actually benefits from the leaks without any negative side effects such as the aforementioned consequences like delays and cancellations that can reap havoc in an artist's bank account. And this is because the artist indirectly gains the opportunity to remain relevant by releasing content, but without any risk of spending any time or money on promotion of the song in case it flops. Not to mention the safety of their reputation in such a case. In a sense, it's almost like a hedged bet or investment because there is no downside. For if the song blows up, such as Kid Cudi or Pissy Pamper in Carti and Young Nudi's case, that absolutely blew them up to superstardom, with the song ranking #1 in the US on Spotify most viral hits, I believe. So that throwaway track ended up being a major success, and they likely ended up making more money on it from indirect sales on other songs in Carti and Young Nudi's discography. One last added benefit that relates to free promo is the opportunity to experiment again without any risk. As we all know, some Carti throwaways leaked this year in 2020 with increased level of baby voice, allowing him and his team to gauge if the fan base is messing with it. Most fans didn't, so now they know to revert back to Die Lit Carti. Win-win, for Carti got some free promo out of it too. Now, with all this being said though, before the RIAA and the FBI and all of the men in black try to trap me in an entanglement, shout out my boy Will Smith, we'll catch up next week for lunch, you heard? I'm not saying leaks are good in any sense, because they aren't, but they aren't always bad. Maybe I'm not helping my case by saying that. Whatever, arrest me. So with that, it's your boy Bobbalam leaking Playboi Carti and his secret boyfriend's OnlyFans account for the boys, because you know Carti won't drop it. Let's just consider it a throwaway. Wink wink. Let me know in the comments your opinions on leaks as to how you justify listening to them, or the reason why you don't listen to leaks. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're at it for the latest hip-hop news, drama, and analysis videos, as well as to follow me on all my socials in the description to join the Bob Gang if you with it. Peace out, Carti people. No saying.